folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. Adrian, it's good to see you today.
Good to see you.
I like that T-shirt.
Yeah, thank you.
It's got all class. Forget what Lemmy said about no class.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about No Remorse today, which is the compilation that came out in 1984. I actually bought this the week of release. It might have even been the day of release, and I had never heard anything except for Iron Fist, which there was a video going around at that point, and I'd seen that, and I thought it was funny, so I picked it up.
It's the first song I ever heard too. I think it was off the same record. Actually, I got introduced through your copy, which is a European release, I think.
That's right.
I've got a CD. I've got a double CD. It's an American release, and there are some profound differences in some of the songs, and there are bonus tracks on mine too.
So anybody that's not familiar with Motörhead, they released 22 albums, studio albums that is, while they were a band, also several live albums. All you really need to know is they're widely regarded as a pioneer kind of the maybe the metal genre, maybe the punk genre. It's one of those bands that actually pulls
They're loved
two
by
genres.
both, but I don't think they're either punk or metal really.
They're not. That's the thing. Yeah, they're still considered pioneers, and they had to be pioneers of something. So Lemmy died in late 2015. Motörhead is still a big legacy, big influence on lots of bands, and I think it's one of my favorite bands of all time.
Same here.
Yeah. So before this album came out, they had released 6 albums, or 7 if you count the time that they re-recorded their first album. But we don't have to do that. But this doesn't just have tracks from those 6 albums. There's all kinds of things on here. There's lots of, kind of rarities. Now, you know that Ace of Spades is the same on both of our copies of this, Adrian. It comes from the Ace of Spades record.
Yep.
And it's probably their best known track. It's certainly still one of my favorites, even knowing pretty much all their music. It made an immediate and lasting impact when I heard it. It's like, yep, that's a keeper. Yep. What else is on this record? I was excited when I got this thing. For Ace of Spades, here is a jolly opus which we did 'cause of me and Eddie playing poker dice all the time in a van at 100 miles an hour all over Europe. Eddie usually won. But then we get to Motörhead, the second track, and that one, there's a difference. I've got what is apparently a live single version, not from Hammersmith, but it did chart, and it was number 6 in July of 81. Now, your copy of Motörhead, is it the same, or is it?
I think it's a live performance.
Okay, so that one's the same. Okay, because I know there are some differences.
It was either the first Motörhead song or it was the last song that Lemmy did with Hawkwind, or maybe both.
It may be both. Yeah, that actually sounds about right. Yeah, he says, this is a song which I wrote at 7:30 a.m. on Roy Wood's Ovation Acoustic on a balcony of the Hyatt Riot House in Los Angeles, 1974. So, and of course, Roy Wood was one of the founding members of ELO, but also The Move and other innovative bands. He and Jeff Lynne were partners for the first album of ELO and moved on. But he turned into a producer, a sought-after producer. So, yeah. Well, anyway, great stuff. Jailbait is the next one. You want to talk about that one, Adrian?
Yeah. On your copy, is there like some noise like in the beginning? Is there getting ready to record? Because on
That's
mine,
a good
there's.
question.
It's, there's somebody says, stop wincing about.
Oh, stop at the very top of the song?
Yeah, like at the very beginning, as they're getting ready to record it, or they're recording, but they're getting ready to play, and somebody says, stop wincing about.
Guess not. So your copy, they do say that.
On my copy, yeah, somebody says, stop wincing about, and then the song begins.
Okay. Well, yeah, so that's the first difference we've found. So, Adrian, your copy is a CD copy, right?
Yes, it was released in 1996, I think.
Or maybe it was a deluxe version. to come out at that year.
Yeah, it was a deluxe version. There are some bonus tracks, but your copy has, which my CD doesn't have. It has all the quotes. Lemmy sort of describes each song
Oh, that's right.
on
Yep.
the album in the liner notes.
Yes, he does.
And
Yeah.
yes, there are a
There's
lot of
actually a lot
records.
of writing in this. If anybody goes out and gets the vinyl, first of all, you've got all the lyrics, which is great. But then before each lyric starts, you've got some background about where it came from, maybe what its history was, and Lemmy may have written a note about his history with the song. So it's very cool. So I guess the CDs don't have that.
Well, the one I have doesn't have that, and probably none of the CDs have that because you can't fit all that stuff into a CD
Well,
book.
it's a lot of writing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll just tell you what he said. All right, for Jailbait, Lemmy's notes. A jolly clever little number which Eddie wrote the riff for, and I wrote the words for, and Phil at the time lived for. Dirty little devil. So there you go.
All right.
And it's the version off of Ace of Spades, the album.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next track we both know and love, Stay Clean.
That's a classic.
Well, first of all, it's produced by Jimmy Miller, who's a famous guy. He actually produced Traffic, who we did a couple weeks ago.
Small world.
Yeah, really. So Lemmy's quote on this is a song about staying clean. It means in all things you do, not necessarily washing your legs. The upshots is that if you stay clean, they can't ever get you, at least not easily. Words of wisdom. Yeah,
Yep.
I believe that's true. Did you have anything else to say about Stay Clean, Adrian, before we move on?
Not really. It's one of the standards at every show.
Next one is called Too Late, Too Late. And this one is not on a regular album. It's on an EP called The Golden Years.
Oh, because I was looking through my classic collection of Motorhead, and I didn't find it on any of the albums in that. And
Yeah. Yeah, it came out in between Bomber and Ace of Spades. So
okay.
early 1980. Oh, I guess May. And then Ace of Spades was November.
On your copy, there's a live version of that. I have the studio version, and that kind of, to be honest, that kind of irked me at first, but
Really, for Too Late, Too Late.
hearing the live version. But I would have preferred to get the studio version on another record or something.
Yeah, I mean, even if you buy up all the Motorhead that there is to buy, you will still need to have this album because there are still tracks that don't
There
show
are
up anywhere
4
else.
tracks on here.
I mean, if you're a record collector, Motorhead is a good band to start collecting because there's just endless stuff to find. So now we come to one of the tracks that was recorded specifically for this album with the new lineup, which includes Wurzel, guitar player, and Pete Gill on drums. And
Is
that's
Phil
called-
Campbell with them yet?
Yes, Phil Campbell is there too, as a matter of fact. These are also the debut recordings with Phil Campbell, who stayed with the band to the very end after this. So, Lemmy had to say on this one, this is going to be our new signal. I think he meant signal, but single, but I don't know, because he also spun some other words here. You tell me. This is going to be our new signal, everyone. It is a taster of the new band. For all of you who missed us at Hammersmith Ododo, shame on you. What do you think? Well, I said, what do you think? Jesus Christ. Nothing personal. So, he has a way with words, with verbiage.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny.
New song on that album, and it's a classic now.
Yeah, it totally is. And I'll tell you, when I first heard it, though, I laughed my head off. Because, like, killed by death. It just struck me as hilarious. And it still kind of does, but it's a fantastic track.
Kind
It
of
really is.
getting killed by, death, the Grim Reaper. That's sort of how I interpret it anyway.
Well, I mean, we all do eventually, It's like, well, okay. Yeah. Anyway, it is an amazing classic track. All right, well, that brings us to side 2.
Yep.
That's Bomber on here, and this one came from No Sleep Till Hammersmith.
Yep.
It's a live one.
My CD has the studio version on there.
Okay,
And
interesting.
on my iPod, I actually replaced that with the live version from No Sleep Till Hammersmith.
Oh, yeah, sure, why
And
not?
same thing as Too Late, Too Late. I mean, I'm just not used to hearing the studio version on this album. I do have the Bomber album, and that's good. You know, I like.
Yeah. When I got the Bomber album, it was a treat for me to hear the actual album, studio version, because I had never heard it before.
Yeah.
After all this
Well,
time.
it's great. You know, when you're listening to the Bomber album, of course, you're expecting to hear the studio version.
Yeah,
But I got used to the European release, which has the live version on there.
yeah. I love the way Lemmy introduces it. Bomber.
Yes.
For a while, I thought he was saying bummer, and I'm like, well,
And the next one is your favorite song.
oh yeah. Oh wait, Bomber, Lemmy. This,
Oh,
despite all the other versions you may hear, was an idea given to me by Len Dayton's book of the same name. Thanks, Len. Doug thought of the metal thingy. Could have something to do with the, well, here. I don't know if he's talking about the cover, but
oh, yeah.
what's the metal thingy? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so this is the cover. This happens to be the version with the two live albums on it. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, I noticed it looks kind of thick.
yeah, it came out a few years ago.
Three
Great,
albums.
great stuff on the back there.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, this was fun. It was on sale one day for $40 or something.
Oh,
Scoop that right up. Yeah, so now my favorite song. Well, it's not my favorite, but it's my inaugural song to Motorhead, and the video is hilarious. If you ever see it, go look for the video they made for that song. Iron Fist, chart position number 29, April 1982. Of course, from the album of the same name. Lemmy says, "Here's a song I wrote on the bass, and then Phil and Ed improved it. However, they couldn't improve on the lyrics." So,
all right.
very funny video.
Yeah.
Very silly. I think most videos in the early '80s were a little on the silly side, personally,
Yeah.
but that's just me.
I've seen the Killed by Death video. That's pretty funny too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that one where he rides the motorcycle through the wall of the girl's apartment. Says,
Families
"Get on!" Her dad's like, "Oh," and then he and through the other wall. That's good. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to put some links up, I think, to some of these videos. So both of those are worth seeing. All right, so now we come up to a song called Shine. Now, this was on Another Perfect Day, which was when they had their first change in personnel since Overkill, or really since Motorhead, I guess, before it. So the regular trio had split at that point. Fast Eddie went on. I think he was starting Fastway or something. And then Brian Robertson was from Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. The other guitarist, Brian Robertson.
That's right, yeah. He could play guitar well, but I guess he used to annoy Lemmy because he took forever on every guitar track. He's like, "We recorded the song, it's all done now. He's taking 3 days to go over his tracks. I'm bored out of my skull." And, but he liked the results. Yep, Shine's a pretty good song. He says, "Lemmy, I said, why don't we do a 12 bar? Okay, they said, and I think it turned out jolly well, actually. Brian plays a blinder." So I'm not sure what that reference is. I'll have to check that out sometime. Maybe a blinding solo. Good stuff. And then the next track on here, same story, same album, and probably has the most defined hard rock riff, I mean, it's so easy to remember.
It's one of my favorite Motorhead songs.
Yeah.
Still today. It was back when I heard the album for the first time, and
Yeah, same here. That's one that made an impression. And Lemmy says, "One of the best songs ever to come from Motorhead. Brian wrote the riff with Philip, and I wrote the words and a dynamo bass line. My next best quality is modesty." so, so there you have it, Dancing on Your Grave. It's a strong track. It's funny. They should have made it a single.
they have it in a lot of the shows too. They play it. I know they play it on Stage Fright anyway.
I know that a lot of people put down that record, Another Perfect Day, that Brian Robertson was on. It was only one record. I think it's pretty good, actually. I think it's underrated. He ended up leaving the band because they didn't like his footwear. He was kind of wearing something akin to ballerina slippers or whatever the guys
Really?
What the new wave guys were wearing on their feet in the early 80s. I think it was
I
something like,
don't know what they were wearing.
as my understanding, of course I wasn't there, was that the original band thought that his image was really not in the style of the rest of the band, and it was kind of awkward on stage. He was a little bit more stylized. The words ballet slippers were used to describe his footwear.
Okay.
I don't judge,
I,
but
I don't know
because
either.
it was a problem, and also the whole perfection thing in the studio was just like, I can't do this. So he moved on, and then Phil Campbell, and then Wurzel, and then Pete Gill came in for a spell. Okay.
Next song is Metropolis.
Yeah.
It's one of the slower songs,
Mhm.
and it was named after a movie of the same name. I remember reading that.
Yeah.
Probably on that record.
Here's what Lemmy has to say. This track is a complete mystery. I wrote it, the lyrics, in approximately 2 minutes after seeing the film of the same name in Portobello Electric Cinema. Eddie wrote the riff 910. We still play it. So
Yeah,
nine.
they do still play it. They played it on one I just mentioned, Stage Fright.
Yeah, oh yeah, I've heard them play that. Practically every live album they've ever put out, that song is on.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. And they really slow down the beginning,
Hmm.
make it really very doomy, and then they play it, and it's good. It's good stuff. Right. So the next track is the new song Snaggle Tooth. I almost said Snagglepuss, but Snaggle Tooth. Exit stage. No, he's talking about himself. This is Lemmy describing himself, Snaggletooth. So, and he had to say on this one, this is written in memory of my teeth, which are now replaced, and a good job too, and also gave me a chance to be fucking clever with the werewolf genre. Yeah, I can see that. Can't you see,
I'm told
Lemmy?
that the logo, yeah, I'm told that the Motorhead logo is named Snaggletooth the War Pig.
That's right. I think you're right about that. What did I do with the album cover?
I think I
Oh
got
yeah,
it.
there you go.
There we go.
Yeah, this guy right here. Here we go. Here. Yeah,
Yeah,
look
he
at that.
seems
Look
to have
deep
one of
into
his old
his.
teeth, perhaps.
Yeah, look. Well, he's got a broken tooth there.
He's got one broken tooth.
That's a great track. That was one of my favorite songs right off the bat, too. By the way,
Yeah, it's my
Snaggletooth.
favorite of the original songs on that album, the four original songs.
So that brings us to record number two, the one with the with the whole what do they call it, montage on the back there. This is what all the rock artists or the metal artists or the hard rock artists used to do back then. Is they would have these collages. It'd always be one collage of the band in various places, up to various hijinks. Good stuff. Anyway, so this starts off with Overkill. And for those of you familiar with the song, no, it doesn't include all the restarts at the end that you hear on the studio album. It's the single version, so it just ends, where you would expect it to end.
Oh,
Yeah.
gee.
I don't know
I
if you've
forgot about
listened.
that. I thought I just stopped listening before it actually ended when I listened to it before, because on the one I have it, they restart it again
Oh,
and
yeah.
again. Not as much as they do on the live shows.
Okay,
This
okay.
is a standard at their shows too, and
Oh, yeah. Great
yeah,
song.
first song on their first album, I think.
Well, it's their second album, actually, but yes, that's the opening. Yeah, Overkill is their second album, and they had an original one called Motörhead. It wasn't recorded as well. Really, in a lot of ways, you could almost look at Overkill as kind of the beginning of their really serious, professional sounding stuff. But they recorded that first album twice, once in '75 with a slightly different lineup, and then once again in '77. That's the one most people know. Overkill is the first one that really sounds good. It's really the beginning of their golden period. They have a copy of Iron Horse on here, but they didn't pick the one that was on that first album, which is where it came from. And with good reason. And Lemmy says about Overkill, which by the way hit number 39 on the charts, what can I say? Phil Taylor is responsible for this. And Jerry Braun, may his house be free from tigers, gave me the idea to write a song around the name. Phil Taylor, because the song, for those of you that haven't heard it, is just double bass drums throughout.
The next one is Please Don't Touch. It's a cover song written by Heath and Robinson.
This one actually was on an EP. It was called Head Girl, I guess, because it was
Oh, yeah,
Motorhead
Motorhead and
and
Girls.
Girls School. Yeah. And the St. Valentine's Day Massacre is the
Yep.
actual name of the.
I remember reading about that now.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think what happened was they actually they kind of swapped bandmates, and parts of each lineup are in each of these songs, and not necessarily the same ones in each song. You know, they just kind of like, I think maybe the girl bass player was in this song, and the rest of Motorhead was. No, they wouldn't do that. Well, maybe they would. I don't know.
I don't know.
But it was something like that. They were really, and that's where this pick comes to as well. I believe that's the Girls' School.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Decent track. Chart position number 5, February 1981.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. Well, so now we have come to another Stone Cold classic.
Stone Dead Forever.
That's right. This one's
Another
from.
favorite of mine.
Mhm.
And, I don't know, just listen to it.
Yeah, it is a great song. Stone Dead Forever. And another Jimmy Miller.
Really,
Jimmy Miller must have just produced the Bomber album. That's my guess. That's what happened here. Yeah, Lemmy has very little to say about that. He just says, a murderer. That's all. Writing about a serial killer, it's a common thing. Didn't we just talk about Ozzy doing that? No
Oh,
More Tears.
yeah. Yeah.
And of course, AC/DC has Night Prowler, Sleep in the Day, which is a Highway to Hell song about going out at night and killing people.
Oh,
Sleep. Yeah, see, this is why you get groups like the PMRC coming after you to cancel your lyrics, because
yeah.
they
They
can't
think
trust
their
you.
kids are traumatized by the music and they're gonna go out and do something stupid or
Yeah. Ooh, Nightcrawler sounds like a great idea. Or Night Prowler. So the next song is a rarity. It's a B-side. It's called Like a Nightmare. And it was the
slow
B-side to.
song with a nice riff to it. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I like this track. Although, when I heard it, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't hear this enough. Brought back memories.
Mhm.
Yep, B-side to No Class. Lemmy says, this was one of my favorite B-sides. Everyone didn't like it, but seeing as I'm the only one of the old band left, here it is. So,
All right.
tough.
Yeah.
I love that.
Glad that you put it on there.
Yeah. Next one is Emergency, which is another Head Girl track.
Yeah, it was written by a song by Girl School, I think. I think it was their
Yeah.
song. And
Says McAuliffe, Johnson, Williams, Dufort. I think you're right, and I probably
did Fast Eddie Clark sing on that song? I think it was one of the guys in Motorhead that sang on that. I think it was
Yeah,
Eddie.
that's right. Yep, Eddie vocal. So another St. Valentine's Massacre song, and Lemmy said, I think this is bloody marvelous. Eddie sings, we play. Dennis won Doubs, Doubs. I don't know what that means. It could be a typo. There are some typos in these notes, which is kind of fun. So I'm not sure what he's saying there, but he says it's completely barmy, and Dennis or Denise was later heard to say, Jesus Christ. And so I guess that makes it a success. So
Yeah.
in the next track, of course, another new song called Steal Your Face.
I used to hear people talking about the Grateful Dead and about the Steal Your Face, and at first I was like, "Hey, you're talking about Motorhead." They're like, "No, we're talking about the Grateful Dead. Where you been?"
They have a live album that I believe is called Steal Your Face that came out in 1976.
Okay.
So, which predates it. So maybe they just liked the phrase.
Yeah.
So Lemmy says the new band is Pete Gill on thundering hooves, Wurzel on scarecrow guitar, Phil Campbell on stunning strings, and the same old bloody bass player. Steal Your Face, definitely a great song, great rhythm too. I like the way. I like
Oh
that.
yeah, they got the double bass going, that hook that they keep repeating throughout the song.
There you go. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
nice little guitar bit in the beginning of it too.
So that takes care of side 3.
So the next song is a clean production of a classic cover song, Louie Louie.
That's a good way to put it. It is clean. It's real nice. I was listening to it just before, and it's possibly my favorite Louie Louie.
Probably.
Very
Probably
straight
mine
ahead.
too, yeah.
Yep, this was an early one too, September 1978, which is before Overkill came out.
Oh, I
But good
wonder if they
stuff.
played that at shows. I imagine they probably did.
But Lemmy here says, "Here is our first ever," and he says "signal" again instead of "single." That's the second time, so I don't know if it's a joke, an in joke, but or if it's just a typo. But Lemmy, here is our first ever signal for Brahms, which was got on top of the tots by Roger Bolton, may he live forever, and gave them the confidence to issue another 30 singles, which never made the top 20.
Hmm.
So, hey, thanks. So there you go, Louie,
Yep.
leading the way
Yep.
on Motorhead singles.
The next song is No Class, which is just classic Motorhead.
Chart position number 61, June
Mhm.
79. Lemmy says, "This is one of the best songs of all time. Even my mom hates it. Dedicated to you all." So,
Probably one of my favorites from, my favorite Motorhead songs.
yep, yep, excellent stuff. Really, all that stuff from 79, 80 really is amazing. Well, yeah, so that takes us to Iron Horse.
Iron Horse.
Yeah, which came out on the original Motorhead debut. However, both of them, I think. But this one is from No Sleep Till Hammersmith. And I think it's just the production of those first recordings of theirs that made them think, no, we don't actually need anything from that album on this No Remorse compilation. So that's how they got around it. Written, yeah, as he says, Lemmy says,
Obviously, yeah, Iron Horse is a bike, and songs
yeah,
ode to bikers, I guess.
yeah, he says, Lemmy says, "This was written for, with, and by the angels, with us from the beginning and probably to the end. Hello, Tricky." Must be a guy named Tricky in the Angels. So yeah, it makes total sense, and I could see where they would love it. And my understanding is they did love it, and they do love it.
Remember that when I was listening to the vinyl that you have, there was an announcement of the song at first. You know, he was saying, "This is for the angels out there," or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Iron
Yeah,
Horse, Born to Lose, or something like that, and that's absent on the one I have. I think it's still the Hammersmith performance of Iron Horse, but
they just cut out the beginning, huh?
they cut out the beginning. Yeah, it just sort of fades into the song, pretty much. Yeah.
These are interesting choices. I know that Lemmy chose all of these tracks for the original compilation, and this actually is the original release. But it seems as though it went through some revision, and I mean,
Yeah,
take the intro out. I mean, would you need to do that? So I'm baffled why they would do that.
I don't know.
It's really interesting. Maybe they thought,
I
oh,
don't
the
know, the
American
second
market,
CD.
they don't like live stuff in America. Yeah.
Yeah, the second CD on No Remorse is the second record, in the two record set, and it's got 5 bonus tracks.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that would fill up a whole CD though. Still,
Doesn't sound like it.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's no telling why this happened. If anybody knows that's watching this, please let us know. Put it in the comments. We'd love to know the history behind that. Because it's curious. It's a curious thing. This was basically a perfect record, so I don't know what the...
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was Iron Horse. And then the next one, also from No Sleep Till Hammersmith, also an ode for somebody in Lemmy's life. We Are the Road Crew. And
Roadies.
yeah, he says, "This song I wrote the words for in 10 minutes. Ask him. It is still one of the best string of consciousness things I ever heard. Dedicated to them, especially Graham Reynolds." So, that's a direct quote, folks.
Yeah, it pretty much says it all. We are the road crew, and
Yeah. Well, my understanding is they were very touched when they heard. They're like, "He wrote us a song. Oh my gosh!" I mean, it was a big, big deal to them, and why not?
yeah,
I mean, really, that doesn't happen often.
I was there. It'd be a big deal to me.
Yeah. So this particular version of the record, the original, there's two left, two songs. One's called "Leaving Here," which is the next one. That made it to number 8. That's also from the Golden Years EP. between Bomber and Ace of Spades. Lemmy had to say, oh, yes, this is a song by the Byrds. The Byrds are this band that were in the UK. It's not the American band that you
Oh,
know.
it's not the
No,
David Crosby Birds.
it's a mid '60s band from the UK that Lemmy always admired. Just thought they really rocked. But they broke up really before anything happened. And let me see. He says this is a song by the Byrds, who included Ron Wood, Pete McDaniels, Tony Monroe, Ally McKenzie, and Kim Gardner. They were one of the main influences on my life. Blame them if you dare. Hello, lads. There you go.
Wasn't it penned by the songwriting team Holland, Dozier Holland?
Yep. Yeah, but perhaps they just tore it up at their gigs, you know, made it sound amazing. Because it's really with a lot of these bands, it's about the energy they bring, you know, the
Yeah.
feeling they bring to their repertoire. You know, it's not so much the vehicles. So, you know, so they can do that with a Holland Dozier. Holland. Pretty much anything those guys wrote, you can find a way to make it a metal song or whatever.
Yeah, a live version is always it's better than the recorded version in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, this band was so good live.
Some bands are just all about the live shows.
That's right. So this brings us to the last track, also unreleased, a brand new recording with the new lineup at that time, Locomotive. And Locomotive, it just sounds like a Motorhead track just by the name of it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's other songs that could have been called Locomotive, like Overkill. Lemmy's words on this one are, here is Motorhead as you've grown to expect them. Write your opinion on a Beatle wig and send it to someone who gives a damn. Even if you get us banned, we ain't gonna stop.
Awesome.
Here's to you, Lemmy.
I guess this all brings me to the bonus tracks.
Yeah, why don't you
Now, the
talk?
next two bonus tracks, well, the first two bonus tracks, I mean, on there are, they have the same title, Under the Knife, but there's two different songs with that title.
They're totally different songs with the same title?
They're very different songs. I wouldn't say they're totally different, but
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I see. There's a slow version and a fast version.
yeah, that's it.
It looks like the same writers. Well, it's all the same new. It's the new band, you know. It's the four-piece Motorhead.
Oh, okay.
So maybe they were just trying things out, different things out. A lot of bands will do that. You know, they'll write a song and it'll first go in to the studio one way, you know, that was envisioned maybe by one person, and then by the end of the day, it's totally different. It's the same song, but it's just the arrangement has changed it into a totally different beast, and maybe that's what happened.
That kind of makes me think of the next bonus song, too. It's called Master Plan. Now, listening to the very beginning of it, I thought I was listening to an earlier version of Killed by Death because it sounds, the first couple of chords sound a lot like the beginning of Killed by Death.
I'll tell you something. I'm looking at the writers on it, and they are not the Motorhead guys. So maybe it's something that influenced it later. Maybe they picked up the riff or something. I think they've got the feel, you know, they've kind of got the feel. I think when Lemmy was negotiating this, I think Bronze wanted to put this out because the band had broken up and they thought, well, band's probably over or whatever, you know. And so Lemmy negotiated with Bronze. Well, listen, why don't you do that and we'll add some new material as well with the new band, just so it's complete, you know. And I'll pick all the tracks. And they're like, okay, fine. And I'll do all the commentary. That's why I've had all these great things to read, you know. Because he picked them all and he wrote all the commentary. And that's so good, you know, in terms of the experience.
So the next to last song on there is No Class, sung by Wendy O. Williams.
Wendy O. Williams.
Gives a beautiful performance of the song.
Oh, that's great. I'll have to check that out.
Then there's another song featuring Wendy O. Williams and Lemmy. It's a Wendy and Lemmy duet called Stand By Your Man.
Yep.
It's a classic song, and this is a much better version, I think.
Than the Tammy Wynette version. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing against Tammy. But yeah, I gotta listen to those.
It's Lemmy and Wendy O. Williams.
You know, I never got around to buying the CD version of this. Really, I've never really needed it because I've got pretty much all the studio albums on CD already. I mean, I got this great box.
Yep.
If I remember right. I
Oh
think
yeah, they've got the first 6 albums on it.
yeah, and they're all real nice. You know, these are all little gatefolds, and everything's nice and
Oh,
safe. Yeah, it's a nice little package they put together there, and many more besides these. And then lots of vinyl. But I mean, I've got them. So even though there are things that I don't have, I just haven't gotten around to it, and so I've never heard those 5 tracks. Yeah, this thing, boy, I've enjoyed this record though, and I think I did. I loaned it to you for a while at one point. I was getting into other music for a bit.
probably.
You were getting into this, so I was like, well, why don't you just take the record for a while?
Yeah,
And
a great record.
it's funny, and for me, it was the right record at exactly the right moment. So I had
Yeah,
just gotten my curiosity piqued by that Iron Fist, video, and seeing these guys.
yeah.
I gotta check this out, and boom, right there, greatest hits with new tracks on it, released that day or that week or whatever it was. It's like this is
Yeah, well, it
perfect.
was my introduction to Motorhead, that No Remorse double album. And
Yeah, yeah. So if you are a Motorhead fan and you have not given this a listen, don't worry about the fact that you may have a lot of the tracks. Find a way to listen to it. It's a lot of fun. It's well sequenced. It was ranked 7th on Rolling Stone's list of the 100 greatest metal albums of all time. Yes, I know they might not be metal.
yeah,
And that was in 2017. It's the only compilation on their list. Anyway, I highly recommend it. I give it, I'm going to say 4 3/4 stars. Maybe,
well,
yeah. I mean, really, I almost want to go with 5.
I was gonna go with 4.5.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, because
mean,
it's
four
not
and five is
quite,
about impossible, just about impossible.
it was perfect for the time. But
Oh,
since then, I mean, they put out many, many more albums. So if you're looking for a compilation of the greatest hits, this isn't necessarily going to have absolutely everything, but I would argue that it's pretty much got, I don't know, 90% of the
got lots of good
essentials.
stuff on it.
Yeah,
Just lots of good
yeah.
stuff.
Now, Motorhead did a lot of great work later in the 80s, in the 90s, even in the 2000s. There are some great records. But for this time,
They never
yeah,
stopped putting out records. So,
when I bought it, it's 5 stars.
oh
For
yeah,
the time when I picked it up out of the record store, it was absolutely the right thing if you're a Motorhead fan to own and to listen to. It covers all the bases.
I'd say it's the best if you're trying to introduce somebody to Motorhead. That's the album you want. No Remorse.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Whether
agree.
it's the European release or the American CD version, which I have. Either way, it's good.
So I do have one regret is that I never saw Motorhead perform, and I wish I had. But if
I
any
think
of
I saw them once, but I don't remember it.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it must have been a good night.
yeah, I guess
Well,
so.
I'll tell you this: anybody watching, if you've seen Motorhead, go ahead and comment. Tell us about it down below. We'd really like to hear about your experience. I mean, we've seen all the videos and the live shows, played all the live albums. It's clear it had to have been a badass situation, really a lot of fun, probably life changing. But just tell us, we'd be interested. And while you're there, if you feel like a like or maybe subscribing, you can also hit the button that's in the bottom right corner now. We love Motorhead. We also want to, by the way, we should mention we did for our very first video, I think, we covered Motorhead the band and
Yeah,
went through many of the vinyl items that I have for Motorhead. We've loved this band forever. We can't shut up about it, apparently. And we may even go back and do the occasional review for various albums.
this is like the perfect starter Motorhead album if you're just getting into them, and then go through the albums, the earlier albums, and it
Yeah,
doesn't really matter which order you do it in.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
All very good.
Yeah, it really is. We're not kidding. So, okay, well, with that, I think we'll just say we'll see you next week with a new topic. I know it's going to be St. Patrick's Day. That's all I have to say.
Oh,
Sure, we'll find something appropriate to discuss. Okay, well, until then, we'll see you. Take care, folks.
See you guys later.